So at the start of the round, we have Geelong versus Richmond at the MCG. I don't think we'd spend a lot of time on this one. I think Geelong will win this one and pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think it could be a mauling the way they're playing at the moment. Geelong, they seem to be back in form.
And I think Richmond are very lucky to have had a win again. I mean, they were like we've said all today. Richmond could have lost that game against any other team.
I think even if there was an Optus, they lose that game. I think the crowd would have got them over the line. Yeah. The Eagles crowd would have got them over the line in that game.
Yeah, so I think Geelong.
Yeah, Geelong.
After that, we get to the second Friday night game. I don't know why they got two on Friday night. I think it's kind of strange.
They were complaining on radio today about how they have 3 games on Sunday and they're overlapping. Then why the hell would you have 2 Friday games on it?
I think they just didn't want to have this game sitting as a standalone one anywhere, even any sort of time was standalone, because this is West Coast versus the Gold Coast Suns.
You put it on Saturday afternoon if you really wanted to.
I mean, they probably should have.
But I guess because it's in Perth, that's the thing, the time difference. If they have that a Saturday afternoon game,
yeah, it'll be 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. You might as well play it. You play the VFL games at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to make this my certainty pick, and we actually, for the first time this year, we both got our certainty picks right last week, because I think it was the most easiest week of
football. Yeah, it was easy. Besides probably the Carlton Brisbane game, the rest of pretty much every other game, the favourites won.
Yeah, and I mean, a couple of games got pretty close, but I feel like the favourites were always going to win them. I'll go on the Gold Coast. I'm going to be putting my certainty pick on the Gold Coast to beat West Coast. I think West Coast, even though they're at home, they're not even that much of a potent team there anymore. I think they've only still won 2 of their last 20 games at Optus Stadium.
Yeah, and they've won 3 of their past 40 or something.
Yeah, so the West Coast, I don't think are that dangerous there. I think the Gold Coast are hitting form, and let's be honest, if the Gold Coast want to be, finals bound, they have to win this game. Yeah. They can't lose this one. If they lose this one, I think Stuart Dew's job is under pressure. Yeah. Right under the pressure. So I'm picking the Gold Coast, and that's my certainty pick for this week.
It's got to be Gold Coast. They actually play well at Optus. The last couple of times they've played there, they've actually won. So they've got a good record there. They shouldn't lose to the Eagles side. And Collins will go to Allen and stop him.
Yeah. Okay.
And it should be a convincing win for the Suns.
After that, we get to Sydney versus Fremantle at the SCG, and I'm going to be picking Sydney in this one. And honestly, I think Sydney have to win this game. I know Fremantle and Sydney both sit 11th and 12th, so they are pretty close on the ladder. Obviously, close on the ladder. But I think Sydney are a much better team this season. And like we said, if they win those 2 games in the final, if there's 1 minute less of both of those games against Port Adelaide and GWS, they're sitting currently in the top 8. So I think Sydney are a better team. They should and they need to win this game against Fremantle at the SCG.
Yeah. I think the Swans do win. They do seem to play a bit better at the SCG. Yes, they lost the 2 games close there, but they do seem to play better at the SCG. And yeah, Freo, I think they just got a soft kill. They got a soft kill against Hawthorn, so I don't think you read too much into it. Sydney should win.
After that, we get to Port Adelaide versus North Melbourne. Even though this is down in Tasmania, Port Adelaide are in pretty good form at the moment, and I think they should win this one. I do think it's a little bit of a danger game for Port Adelaide, just because North Melbourne are pretty good down in Tassie, and I think that North Melbourne, if they can get on a bit of a roll down there, they could actually beat Port Adelaide, but for me, I think I can't pick North. I'm picking Port.
Yeah, I think you have to pick Port in this game. I think Dixon gets a rest this week with the injury to his knee, and I think they just need to get better at the clearance game, Port Adelaide, and I think this is the perfect week to do that, to get better at it, because you're coming up against a good midfield. Yes, it's not A grade, but you got to get Simpkin.
It's definitely their best line.
It's their best group of players. So if you want to have a good, easy win, but to challenge yourself in the midfield, this is the game to do it. And Port Adelaide should be able to get back into form in the midfield for it.
After that, we get to Hawthorn versus Melbourne at the MCG. This will be a 30,000 crowd at the MCG, mostly Melbourne, and Melbourne will win this one comfortably. Yeah. This won't be much to talk about.
Yeah, it's not much to talk about.
This will be a game that everyone just whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty much that it's... it'll be interesting if Jacob Van Ruren gets off. I think he will, off that tribunal hearing, so he should get off and they'll go on their merry way again, the D's.
Saturday night, big game, Brisbane versus Essendon. This is at the Gabba. Essendon, I give a bit of a chance, but I feel like Brisbane at the Gabba, you can't pick against them there. They're playing brilliant footy at the Gabba, so I think that they'll win this one.
Yeah, if it was in Melbourne, you'd be considering different, but Brisbane at the Gabba, they're very hard to stop, and with their forward line so potent at the moment, they just have too many options.
After that, we get to Carlton versus the Bulldogs. Now, like we said, we were very disappointed by their season, and that we think they're overachieving, or what the fact, not overachieving, but they're definitely higher on the ladder than they should be. So this game for both of these clubs, I think if whoever wins it gets a lot of pressure taken off. I don't think they have any pressure on them, and they sweep some dirt under the rug. And I think the team who loses this game gets a lot of pressure put on them. I'm picking the Bulldogs just because I think the Bulldogs are playing a little bit better footy.
Yeah, they seem to play better under the roof. The Bulldogs, the game style suits it, and Bontempelli is in career best form. Probably Brownlow, maybe favourite, but he's this is the game that you're going to see the Bulldogs play well. Carlton just if they don't have Mackay or Curnow, they got no one up forward, and they seem to be struggling to find options up forward. So
other than them too.
Yeah, besides them.
It seems like you just double on both. Whoever's the deepest forward.
Well,
double
yeah,
on
and
them,
the thing is, they've got the matchups for it anyway. The Bulldogs, so they should be able to win this. The Bulldogs, and they'll have a hell of a lot of pressure on Vossi.
Yeah. Sunday we get to the first game at 12:30 is Crows versus St Kilda. This one's a tough one because St Kilda are in very good form, but because it's in Adelaide, the Saints don't. They have an okay recent record, I think, but not the best record.
Nah,
in Adelaide,
I think it's pretty bad. They won that 2020 season. They won both their games in Adelaide, but
other than that, it's been pretty poor.
Yeah, it's been
pretty poor. So I'm gonna pick the Crows, but if the Crows don't win this game, they're kind of right back in the pack.
Yeah,
they've had a pretty good month before the last 2 weeks. If they lose this one, they're right back in the pack. And let's say if Sydney or Fremantle, whoever wins that game, they go right back up. They go above the Crows. So the Crows need to win this game to stay in touch with the 8. I do think they'll win it, but look, I think St Kilda. It's kind of disheartening to St Kilda to not be the favourite in this game, but just because it's in Adelaide, I think the Crows will win.
Yeah, I've went the Crows as well. I'm going to put my certainty on it because, to be honest, there's not any other games I'm confident in. But because the Crows are playing at home,
they look a lot better.
They look a lot better, and I think that they just need to get their forwards back into form. Yeah. They do, and it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be one of the closest games you'll see between these sides for a long time, because normally one side dominates the other, but. The thing is that you get experience two different styles. A high-scoring, potent Crows team against this slugfest St Kilda team. So it's going to be very interesting how it goes. But I think I'm going to put my certainty on the Crows.
Final game of the round, the second Sunday game is Collingwood versus the Giants. I think Collingwood win this one and well. I mean, Collingwood don't like to win well in a lot of games, I know that, but Collingwood win this one and they win this comfortably.
Yeah, I think you don't really have to talk about it. Like, the Giants seem to be in games, but...
I think this may be close till three-quarter time, but I think Collingwood would just run away with it.
Yeah, it seems like that sort of game that like they've done the last couple of weeks. So they're in it till three-quarter time, and then Collingwood will belt them, really. They'll keep probably the last 3 or 4 goals and win it easily.